other medium to large size businesses as a trainer, a coach, and a keynote speaker. If you can't visualize the reward, you probably won't attempt the journey. He believes that direction must be established at all levels within an organization to be successful. This direction must support the overall mission statement of the organization. Let me introduce to you Kevin Moffitt and his daughter, Jennifer Plott. She's going to be videotaping his presentation today. The Business Success Group, listen as he asks you the question, who do you work for?
Thank you. Yeah, I think the first thing I noticed when I came into this town, actually there was a couple things. They're doing a lot of construction on China Lake Boulevard, and the first thing I thought about is, you know, if you're going to come up and talk about direction, what a better place to do it in a town that's all screwed up, you know. And as we drove in, what was that?
No city councilman here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm safe. I don't live here, and I'll never be invited back. But you know, it's interesting when you start looking at how direction takes you in certain places and in certain directions. All of a sudden, there's a kink in the works, just like the road. And they have those orange cones. But isn't it amazing how when you drive through that, we all seem to be able to navigate it, don't we? We follow the signs and we do what we need to do and we get there anyway. When I was talking to Sharon, in fact, I was talking to her yesterday on the phone. I've known Sharon for a long time. Please don't hold that against me. I love her to death, and her and Ron have been great friends. What I've learned about, I asked her about the Rotary Club a little bit, and one of the things she told me is that most of you guys are not just business associates, but a lot of you are retired. You're engineers, you've worked in business, you've had your own. How many of you guys are business owners or were business owners? About 3/4 of you. Now, how many of you are still active in your businesses? A good chunk of you. You know, it's funny. This young man, he's still got his tie on and he's not smiling. Now, why? If you own your own business, shouldn't you be smiling?
I am smiling.
Okay. I just don't know it. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some things that I think will help you to smile a little bit better, particularly when you're talking about how you relate to your customers, and probably today, even more importantly, your employer partners. Now, you've heard the term employee partners. I want to change it to employer partners. To get started, I want to share a story with you. About 20 years ago, this goes way, way back, I was up in the Sierras with a bunch of kids. I was with about 30 youth. Now, I was about 22 years old at the time, so that's obviously not from that period, but we had gotten together and we had made a plan to go on this wonderful backpack trip to go to the top of Mount Whitney. You guys all know where that is? Well, we decided we were going to go up there, and we had mapped the trail out. We knew all the food that we needed to carry. We knew what clothes we needed to have, and we took off on the trek. Well, about halfway up the first day, we lost one of our adults. Now, can you imagine in this day and age, the only adult with 30 kids was a 22-year-old kid? That was me. I was the only adult, and I was only 22 years old. Well, I was a little nervous about it. And even though we had mapped out the trail and the path that we were going to go on, I got a little cocky. And once we cleared over the top of Taboose Pass, this is actually Kearsarge Pass taken about 5 years ago, we got hiking down the trail, went over Taboose Pass, and I took a wrong turn. I did not stick to my course. There was waypoints, and there were waypoints that we established to be sure that we would eventually make it to Mount Whitney. Now, how many of you guys have ever backpacked up in the Sierras at all? Anybody? Can you see where you're going when you start at the trailhead? All you can see is up, right? Yeah, I like that answer. But do you really see the end? Now, in business, how often when you start a business do you really see the end game? You can visualize Mount Whitney. You can visualize the success, but you really don't see the end. So what are you acting upon when you start this process? You plan? Somebody said something? There's a vision. Absolutely. You have a vision, and that vision entails what you want to do, to accomplish, right? So isn't there always an end game to everything that we do? Now, what is the difference between the ending point and an end game? Anybody want to help me with that for a second? The end it means when you're done, you stop. An end game just means once you've completed that particular goal, you're going to start on another journey. It's as simple as that. Life is always an end game. There's never an end. Keep in mind as you go through these opportunities and you have, whether it's backpacking or not, you do have a direction set, you map your trail, and hopefully you take time from time to time. You do that in the hospital. Do you ever stop and have meetings and just kind of review what's going on? Why do you do that?
It's constantly changing direction.
Absolutely. And does that mean that the direction and the vision of the hospital changes?
Not the ultimate vision, it's just changing strategy.
Okay, so you said the ultimate vision doesn't change, but the strategy to get there then does change. And so we have to adapt. We have to adapt. Can I get a couple of volunteers for just a second? Or in fact, I'm going to pick on a couple of people. Lisa, you're the one of the new girls. I'd like to have you come on up here for a second. And let's see, who else wants to volunteer? You know, you were smiling. I'm going to borrow you. What's your name?
I'm not smiling anymore.
Come on up here. Come on up here. I want to show you something. Continue to smile. Now, as you come, I want you to get here on either side of me for just a second. What's that?
Al.
Al, it's good to meet you. Al, I need you right here.
Okay.
Okay, I want her on my right side. She's better looking than you.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
I totally agree.
Okay, now, what I want you guys both to do is I want you to take your fingers and do this. Can you do that? Now, overlap them just a little bit and then just put them together just like that. See how I've got my fingers?
Right.
So I've got
Okay.
that. Now, turn towards me a little bit. Turn towards me a little bit. Okay, pull them apart.
No, can't do it.
Well, come on, Lisa. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Can't do it.
What's the matter with you? Okay. You can say, thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, the question I have for you is, how easy was it for me to get them into that situation? What did I have to do? I simply had to ask. I simply had to ask. And you know, it's amazing. Many of you guys have had experiences in your life, and I'll bet you there's a ton of wisdom in this room. And how many times have you had experiences with your finances or maybe a boss? You guys all have stories about bosses you don't like and bosses you do like, right? Anybody disagree with that? Well, you must be the boss. What happens is you gain this wisdom, you learn that many, many times you need to take a second and stop and analyze what's going on before you move forward. Don't let anybody talk you into doing something that you don't know what the possible outcome could be. Is that always a realistic challenge? When we're acting on faith, sometimes what happens? Yeah, sometimes we'll go down the wrong trail thinking we're doing the right thing.